He was the fire starter.
Let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
Donald Trump was calling basically for us to be murdered. Here we are full circle. If we look at everything that this man has said, everything is destructive and dangerous.
That was a clip from Central Park 5's Yusef Salaam speaking out against Donald Trump and his history of hate. In 1989, Yusef was one of the 5 teenage boys wrongfully convicted of raping a woman in New York's Central Park. Just 2 weeks after the teens were arrested, Donald Trump spent $85,000 on a full-page ad in New York's 4 daily newspapers, stating that the teenagers should face the death penalty for their crimes. 13 years later, the Central Park 5, as they were widely known, were fully exonerated of the crime, received a $41 million settlement from the state of New York. However, Trump refuses to accept the Central Park 5's exoneration and still says they are guilty. Joining us right now is Yusef Salaam via FaceTime from Atlanta. Yusef, you did that particular MoveOn.org ad, and it's been interesting to me how, frankly, people with these debates won't even bring this issue up.
Yeah. You know, the thing about it is that, you know, when you look at all of the sides that people bring into the presidential debate, the good and the bad, you know, for Donald Trump to rush to judgment back then, and for the overwhelming evidence to be seen clearly that we were innocent of the crimes that they charged us with, it's ridiculous for him to still stand on that side, you know. But what's more important is the fact that when he took out those ads, that right there was almost like a cry to the people in the darker enclaves of society to go into our homes, to drag us from our homes and to hang us from trees in Central Park. Rush to judgment, take us out of the picture. We are bad news because we're black. And really, that was what that was the biggest crime, the color of our skin.
And when Trump was asked about this, he literally doubled down and said, "I still think they're guilty." Yes.
You know, that was unfortunate because he really, you know, he has the absolute wherewithal to be able to, you know, see all of the pieces of the puzzle, put it all together and make some proper decisions on it. But for him to look at all of the pieces of the puzzle and say, you know what, even though all of the false confessions that were brought about were completely fabricated, I'm still going to stand on that side and say, you know what, they made they made a confession. Forget the fact that the confessions were found to be false, and forget the fact that the police were doing malicious things in order to garner these confessions. You know, denied us of food for up to 36 hours. You know, denied us of sleep, denied us of drink. You know, even with the whole dynamic of some of our families being there, many of our families didn't even know the law. So we were all being taken advantage of. And the city was being taken advantage of as well because they were made to believe that lie for 13 years. The worst part of it is that the Central Park jogger herself was made to believe that lie for 13 years and still probably lives in this kind of fog of a reality as to, well, what really happened and who really did this to me.
One of the things that you have called for is for Donald Trump to apologize to the Central Park 5 for calling for the death penalty.
Yes, indeed. You know, to err is a part of us being human. And, you know, one of the worst things, I mean, when I look at Donald Trump, I mean, he walks around with this air of affluenza. He also walks around with this whole idea that he's completely infallible and so forth and so on. And, I mean, he would have probably never apologized to anything had he been able to get away with it 100%. But those videos that came out about him groping women and bragging about it and so forth and so on, you know, he had to come out and apologize for that. But here to still stand on this side of wrong. I mean, overwhelming evidence is showing that we were not the ones who did this crime. 100% not the ones, none of the crimes that happened in Central Park. The Central Park 5 had nothing to do with any one of them. And he still refuses to apologize, still says that he wants to be the law and order president, still says that he wants to bring into the fray across the country practices that were found to be unconstitutional in New York City, stop and frisk. This is really a sad time for us that we have two candidates. Really, one is the only one that people can vote for because this other one is going to send us all to get hung.
Yusef Salaam, we appreciate you joining us on TV1. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Angela, real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I was thinking back to the beginning of our conversation. We were talking about the absence of policy in the voter in this election. And I think, and Dina said that it's responsibility of the electorate, of the public, to push candidates to talk about the issues. And we could have an argument about that, but I think it is the candidate's responsibility to show leadership, right? Like, whether or not you're putting out the different policies, we're voting for someone to be the leader of this country. And if you're a leader, if the leader that you're supporting is unable to say, I was wrong, is unable to apologize, is unable to even admit when they didn't have all the facts, that should be a red flag. And I think that the people who don't acknowledge that are just troubling in our politics.
Literally 15 seconds, literally.
I agree, and I think that we have to look at both candidates in their ability to do that.
No, I'm talking about Donald Trump as a leader. I'm not talking about Clinton.
Donald Trump he should say that he was wrong, and because I only have 5 seconds, Google Ricky Rector and Hillary Clinton's support of him.
All right.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. NewsOne Now with Roland Martin, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.